This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't be afraid to take the baby steps. It's another day, don't forget, 'cause just a prayer away. Don't give up now, trust the process and keep learning. And if you need a friend, we're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, 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 together as a family in faith and melody.
Hello, hello, greetings and salutations, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode, another week of INC Radio's Faith and Melody. And if it's your first time tuning into our broadcast, this is the program where we have meaningful conversations and inspiring Iglesia ni Cristo original music. I'll be one of your hosts for today's broadcast, Jay from Australia. And today we're looking back at a moment in history none of us will forget, 2020. The day that the world, or the year that the world stood still, our routines flipped upside down, and our phones and our devices became our lifeline to everything happening outside our homes. Social media kept us entertained, informed, and connected, but it also flooded our minds with more noise than we knew what to do with information coming from all directions, some helpful, some harmful. It became easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or confused. So, in this episode of Faith and Melody, we reflect on what we learned from that season, how social media shaped our emotions and decisions, and most importantly, how our Almighty God's words continue to give us peace, clarity, and grounding no matter how loud the world got. So let's get this show started with the first song on our playlist, the INC original music titled Welcome Kapatid Ko. Kuya Tek, take it away.
Welcome kapatid. Welcome kapatid. Welcome kapatid. Welcome kapatid. Welcome kapatid. Welcome kapatid ko. Welcome kapatid ko. Welcome na welcome kayo. Magsama-sama na tayo sa loob ng Iglesia ni Cristo. Kami tunay na nagagalak pagkat kayo ay nagpaunlak mula ng aming misyonin na maglimi at magsuri. Welcome sa kawan sa Iglesia ni Cristo may kaligtasan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is INC Radio's Faith and Melody, where it is currently 12:07 a.m. over there in our main studio in the Philippines. This is Jay from Australia, but I am also joined with one of my co-hosts here today, all the way from Germany. Hello, hello to our Kuya Henry.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here today. Hope you all had a great November because we are already entering December, and this is the time when we reflect about the year. But we're going to go a little deeper in our reflection and go actually back 5, 6 years to kind of look at things and how things used to be and reflect and see how maybe we've changed over the past few years. The title Hindsight 2020, we have a much better perspective of what online content has done to us. The way that we over consumed online content during 2020, during the pandemic, when the world was on lockdown. But throughout all this, God's timeless words still remain the clearest source of peace and direction. Would you agree, Jay?
That's exactly right. So we're very interested to see, since yeah, we are reflecting it, and you're right. I just realized it is the first week of a new month and also the last month of 2025. So I think many of us are getting into that reflecting mood, right, Henry? Looking back, not just in the past year, but also kind of like where we've come from. And you're right, 2020 was a very pivotal time in terms of how we've changed, especially how we've adapted a little bit, I guess, to the amount of social media and online content, because that became one of our sources of go to distract ourselves, but also to get information and all of that stuff. So that and more that we'll be talking about on today's topic, Hindsight 2020. So we're very excited for you to also reflect with us and share with us your thoughts when we get into our topic discussion. But before we do get into our topic, let's first begin with our kickoff chat. Our icebreaker is titled Life Transformed.
Let us know if it's something that you're willing to take up as a
Kickoff chat.
So when we were on lockdown, we were stuck at home. We could not get out. We wanted to, and maybe we could go outside our front door or in our backyard, but we ultimately just had to find ways to distract ourselves from what was going on in the world. So the question is, while we were on lockdown during the pandemic, what did you do to find entertainment or to distract yourself from watching the news? Now, the reality is we all did watch the news for a little bit, but after a while, they kept saying the same thing over and over. And so we had to distract ourselves, entertain ourselves, find something to do. There was a lot of online resources that we never noticed existed. And it allowed us to connect with each other. It allowed us to communicate in ways we never knew existed. Some of this may have been in the form of gaming. Some of this may have been in the form of just collaborative video conferencing chats. So the question again to everyone is, what did you do to find entertainment or to distract yourself from watching the news? So Jay, let's start with you. What did you do while you wanted to distract yourself while you're at home? How did you keep yourself entertained?
I have to really think back because 2020 was for me a really long time ago, right? 5 years ago. So I'm thinking back. So while I'm thinking about that, let me first say hello to our Ohana, our live viewers that's tuned in with us right now and that's commenting and saying their greetings there in our live chat. We love to hear your thoughts too. So drop it down there in the comments on what you did to keep yourself entertained or distracted from watching the news during that time, right? That time of 2020 when COVID-19 first started. But first, hello to Mario Oka, one of our early bird viewers that said hello to us there, saying happy watching here in the Philippines. Greetings from the locale of Brixtonville, district of Caloocan North. We've got Manong Delmar Minos there, saying aloha everyone, greetings from the locale of Wailuku district of Hawaii Pacific. So aloha to Manong Delmar and also to everyone there in Hawaii that's tuning in. We've got our Kuya Joshua Arteta that's there, that our heartthrob ng INC Radio, Kuya Joshua. Pabati ng lahat, saying greeting to us, pabati na ang lahat ng mga may tungkulin sa lokal ng New Era Distrito ng Dasmariñas City, Cavite. And we've also got Brother Jared Rombo greeting us, happy watching from Ecclesiastical District of Northern Africa. That's there, local congregation of Awasi. So thank you so much for tuning in as well. I think it might be evening there in Africa, I believe. I'm not sure, but thank you for tuning in with us. And hopefully you can join us with our discussion today in our show. Zenaida Novesteras is also there in our chat saying happy Monday, Tuesday, Ohana, Faith and Melody. Greetings from Midtown Toronto, District of Greater Toronto. Now for me, actually, Zenaida says there that for her, I did a lot of cooking, cleaning, and work too, right? Because like usually from memory as well, we were all apart from apart from the COVID-19 itself, like there was the lockdowns, right? And so yeah, we all just did a lot of, I guess, all year round cleaning, right? Because for us in Melbourne, right here in Australia, when we were in Melbourne, we had one, I believe it was reported to be one of the longest lockdowns around the world. There's a few different varieties of the duration of lockdowns, but Melbourne here was hit with one of the longest ones among them. So we did do a lot of cleaning, did do a lot of baking. I remember during that time, I tried to figure out how people created, and you can buy a lot of chocolate brownies that are really gooey and soft, but they're still like they hold their shape. So I spent a lot of time ordering ingredients, trying to find a way to make a good batch of brownies. I've made so many batches, Henry, of brownies. Some turned out to be cookies. I'm trying to make them gooey brownies, but it ended up being a cookie or a cake or like a hard cake. So yeah, it was like just a lot of baking for me most of the time. A lot of baking, a lot of eating. And then it was funny, just on a side note, after the whole lockdown happened, I ended up finding a brownie box thing that you just cook. You can just take home, add like milk and eggs or something like that, butter and eggs, and then it turned out into gooey brownies, right? I didn't have to figure out all by myself. So that was kind of like, I learned something, but also it was kind of fun to figure it out and then not have to do it anymore. I was doing all these things, Henry. Like I was doing water baths, trying to cook the brownies in a water bath in the stove so that I can keep its shape and all that. Spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. How about you, Henry? What did you end up doing to entertain yourself?
So while you were cooking and baking, I was just ordering online. So I got to explore the world of food delivery, and man, so much food came in. Now I will say there was a point where I did lose my taste buds for a little bit, so I had to regain my ability to taste food. And that's my logical reasoning of why I ordered so much food. But yeah, so I did. I was able to explore all the different restaurants who would now start to deliver food to us. That was great. That was fun. I also got back into. I used to be into a lot of gaming. So just for a little background information, at my line of work, I was told to stay home from a team of three. They didn't want me because my wife is a nurse. I had a high risk of infecting others potentially when my wife
Mm-hmm.
would come home, and then I didn't want to be the one to infect the workplace. So they said, Henry, stay home. But okay, sure. So as I stayed home, I uh, I got more in touch with a little bit of gaming. I did go back to college for a little bit to try to learn some programming, but I also got
Oh,
into learning a lot of things just using the different social media platforms that taught you how to do uh, car maintenance, how to cook certain recipes, how to do some light fixer upper work around the house with woodworking. I really had to pass my time. So I entertained myself by basically learning new things. And it cultivated a type of uh, passion, knowing that no matter how old you get, you can always keep on learning something. It might be a little harder in the older age that I am now, but it's still enjoyable. There's so much stuff that you can fix. You don't have to call someone to unclog you the drain in your sink because I know how to do that for you. So you can call me if you're nearby. But there's just so much stuff to learn that I spent a lot of my time learning and saving some money by doing it myself. A lot of DIY. Um, yeah, so that's how I entertain myself. I really uh, cooking, cleaning, and a little bit just like what Zenaida said, cooking, cleaning, and work too. I did the same thing. Learn how to cook. I was able to clean a lot because my kids were with me and they would always be making a mess. At the time, my kids were a toddler age, so they'd be a lot more messy. So I spent a lot of time uh, uh, learning, but also taking care of my kids because they couldn't go to school either, right,
yeah.
Jay?
Exactly. I just remembered as well in terms of work, like a lot of people, especially during the lockdown period when it got really bad with the whole pandemic, everyone had to work from home, right? So 24/7, you were at home, and everyone ended up creating their own little corner of the house where they would set up their home office. So the thing was, because you were at home, the kitchen's so close, the family's there, the distractions became a little bit more, right? But then there was also challenges when it came to trying to find work and family life balance because you're just there. You're in the same, roof, under one roof the whole entire time when you're working, when you're resting, when you got your leisure time, all of those things, they're all under one roof. You think it'd be easy. You think it'd be like a nice flow with everything. But when you're trying to do work done, but then you've got the family and you can hear them there, and then they come into the room because it's just nearby, and then you end up getting distracted by the food in the kitchen in the pantry. It's like sometimes it's hard to find a flow because there's just so much distractions. But yes, cleaning, doing a lot of cooking, and a lot of I remember cleaning as well at our garage, just going through that, finding more time because we were just there, right? Trying to just get rid of clutter around the house and just trying to keep things nice and clean. We did a lot of that as well. And playing games as a family, right? Because a lot of our families, again, lockdowns, you couldn't travel, you couldn't leave the house. A lot of our families here are over in other states. So the way that we would catch up with each other through the use of communication. So we'd have like, messaging and also video calls. But then we would also play like online games where you can play like those classic games, but you can just do it through the internet. So that was nice that you were able to do that. We got a couple of comments from Joshua Arteta. He's saying here, now it's in Tagalog, and we know, Henry, our Tagalog's not the greatest. I'll read some of it. I'll try and read it. So actually, you want to try and give it a go?
Bro.
Put you on the spot.
All right, let me try. Let me try this one. I'll try
I'll,
the
I'll,
first
I'll
one.
translate, but you try and read it in Tagalog.
Okay, so here we go. Ganda, madaling araw, pabati po ang aming tagapagsiwa, kapatid na Ricky Dante at sa kanyang sambahayan po. Play po ako ng 45 po laan pag-ibig ay ikaw ang biyaya, ikaw healing, ikaw ang mahal ko. I read that, but I did not know what I just said.
So he's requesting a whole bunch of songs, and most of those songs are actually part of our INC original music love songs genre. And he was also greeting their tagapam tagapangasiwa. You said it so much better than me. But hello to brother Ricky Dante and to his household. That's who is greeting there. And to everyone there, brother Jared Rombo also shares during the COVID 19 pandemic, I entertained myself in the social media content and some house chores due to the social distance and curfew rules. Well, that's so true, right? Like we couldn't even have visitors. We couldn't have visitors coming to our house just because of the government restrictions during that time. So you felt, in a way, isolated during the pandemic, right? There's very much a lot of that going on, especially for the ones who didn't have any other people that they were living with. They might have been technically, literally by themselves, locked down by themselves. So that was also tough. That was tough for many others. But that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about, right, Henry? In our discussion today, in terms of what we went through with the whole pandemic and the amount of content that we consume, because that really is one of our sources of distraction. Watching a lot of movies, and I think the boom in social media influencers and creators on social media, took place during roughly that time because they were just stuck at home, right? Kids, the young ones and everything else. Like it blew up because they were at home and then they're just in front of their phones, their cameras, and you can easily just turn it on, put it in front of you and start recording something. So I think a lot of people came about during that time as well. But we got so much of it to talk about. So again, thank you to everyone that's been with us in our kickoff chat. We've got Rod Kahayag that's also there saying greetings to everyone from Livermore, Northeast California. We've got more to talk about, so don't go anywhere. But first, we'll wrap up our kickoff chat segment there. Thank you to everyone that participated and shared. That's been today's kickoff chat. So can we have our closing bumper?
Let us know if it's something that you're willing to take up as
Kickoff chat.
So before we get into our topic discussion, Henry, what are the next two songs that we'll be listening to?
So the next two INC original music that we'll be listening to is first song is I Am Happy, followed by Faith in Our Heart. So please stay tuned with us on Faith and Melody.
Troubles in this life may come, but that's okay. I'll still be happy anyway. This world may try to bring me down, but I won't mind. I'll still be happy all the time. For my Lord Jesus Christ has said, His power is made perfect in me. During times when I'm weak, I'm not alone. So always hold on. I'll be brave and be glad when trouble is near. Then I'm weak, I am strong, for His power lives in me. There is nothing that can take me away from my Lord. I am happy, so happy, for I feel His love for me. When I have to face my trials, I'll be alright. For I'll find joy in Jesus Christ. I will endure and carry on to keep His first. Bring honor to my Lord. For my Lord Jesus Christ has said, His power is made perfect in me. During times when I'm weak, I'm Church of Christ.
We stand tall, undefeated, victorious and strengthened. Our strength comes from God, the Almighty Father. Through the faith in our hearts, He will grant our prayers. Through His mighty hand, we shall help the world to better understand, to let them know His word. We'll keep our faith strong and ready for anything that may come into our lives, that may try to strike us down. But through the faith in our hearts, we will conquer all. Through His mighty hands, we shall help the world to better understand, to let them know His words. We'll keep our faith strong and ready for anything that may come into our lives, that may try to strike us down. But through the faith in our hearts, we will conquer all. We'll keep our faith strong and ready for anything that may come into our lives, that may try to strike us down. But through the faith in our hearts, we will conquer all. Through the faith in our hearts, we will conquer all.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we continue with our topic discussion, we've actually got a song request there in our chat from one of our live viewers, one of our Ohana there, Joshua Arteta. So we're going to play one of his song requests. He's got a few there, but we've got one which is titled Pag-ibig ay ikaw, Pag-ibig ay ikaw. So let's play Kuya Josh's song request, and then we'll be back with our topic discussion.
Your requested songs, our favorites, Faith and Melody Heartbeats.
Ikaw ang panalangin ko. Binigyang kulay ang aking mundo. Pag-ibig ang aking laan para sa'yo. Itong pagsamo, hali-hali-halina, tingin ang aking tinig sa bawat pintig ng aking puso ang sinisigaw. Ikaw ang aking buwan sa gitna ng mga tala. Anong liwanag kapag ika'y nakikita? Tumatalon ang puso sa tuwa. Ikaw ang ritmo sa aking musika. Pag-ibig ang aking laan para sa'yo. Itong pagsamo, hali-hali-halina, tingin ang aking tinig sa bawat pintig ng aking puso ang sinisigaw. Ang pagmamahal sa'yo ay totoo, hindi ka iiwan magpakailanman. Ikaw lang ang pag-ibig ang aking laan para sa'yo. Itong pagsamo, hali-hali-halina, tingin ang aking tinig sa bawat pintig ng aking puso ang sinisigaw. Ikaw.
Your requested songs, our favorites, Faith and Melody Heartbeats.
So today's topic is hindsight 2020. We're really looking back. Let's take you back or take yourself back. Close your eyes for a moment and go back to when the pandemic first started, right? And then the lockdowns came about. Everyone had to social distance themselves from others. And really what happened was the internet and social media became our escape from all the news and all the all the what everyone was talking about with the pandemic and the strains and all of that. Our getaway, our escape from all of that was what we could consume from social media and from the internet, right? That kind of it came about. So during the lockdown, how did you or others feel after looking at large amounts of social media posts about the pandemic and other news stories, especially when we were locked down at home, when we had to work from home, do everything from home, study, and all of that stuff? Like you couldn't leave the house, your phone's right there, the internet's right there. And we ended up consuming a large amount of social media. Uh, Once you got all of that and you consumed a lot of content about the pandemic and other news stories and everything else, and all the government regulations that was happening around that time, like how did you feel? How did you feel? How did other people that feel during that time? Henry, maybe you can share with us a few of your thoughts.
So first, when you're going on social media or any type of media, even watching TV, you're looking for information, you're looking for news, you're looking for solutions. This is uncharted territory. We've in our lifetime never been through this before. So you're looking for answers. You're looking for uh, direction. What do we do in this situation? You go on social media, what do you see? Okay, you see this number of people are infected day by day. What could possibly be the symptoms you should be worried about? So you start coughing. Oh no, maybe I have it. And so you look into more news and you're like, oh no, maybe I need to wipe my nose more. Oh, maybe I need to wash my hands more. You get more nervous. You get more scared. You get more overwhelmed by how much things you have to pay attention to so that you don't make the situation worse, not just for the world, but in your own household. You don't want to infect anyone at home. And so you look for more answers. You keep scrolling. You scroll some more. Someone has a guess, an opinion, unverified expert opinion. And you start to wonder and you start to think, he sounds right. She sounds right. She's a doctor. And then you change to another channel. He sounds right. She sounds right. Oh, that makes sense. And you go to another verified news source and they say they have no idea. And so you just become overwhelmed with what is the right answer? Why are these people conflicting with each other? Who do I believe? Then after a while, you just get numb because you just have so much content to consume that you know that feeling when you eat a lot and you're just so full and then you just kind of sit there and you kind of just wonder and regret like what did I do?
Why did I eat so
why did
much food?
why did I eat so much food? And you thought it would have made you feel better to get all of this in you so that you'd have some kind of control over the situation. But really, it just kind of made things worse for you. It made things more foggy, if that's the right term. It wasn't clear. It wasn't a clear perspective. And so you not only did you not get any answers, not only did you get more nervous, you ended up spending a lot of time. And so time, energy, resources, emotion, it just really consumed every aspect of you that not just yourself, but even others you would try to talk to each other and you would share links. Oh, watch this. This is what they said. This is correct. And then you'd be like, no, but this is what they said. And so then you're like, let's just play a game. You just want to detox. You want to release the emotion and the stress from it. And so, how do you feel after all of that? You feel everything and nothing at the same time because there was nothing that could pose a solution or a level of comfort that it could give you with whatever information you got because it led to nowhere. I mean, looking back, fast forwarding 2 years after that, when things opened up, it's like, uh, everyone would share, oh, because I had this is what I heard. We still had no idea. And even looking back at it now, there are some people who are saying, yeah, this is it. But even then, with all this content, that just as a consumer of content, you almost don't want to know anymore, right? It's like now you're just uh, it's it's food that has no taste. It's just the amount of content that you got during that time with the rise of social media. It really did not produce anything fruitful, no comfort, no solution, and I don't know. It was just so overwhelming. Would you agree with that, Jay? It was just too overwhelming at the time.
Definitely overwhelming. I mean, like again, having to think back all about 5 years, about 5 years now. Um, I think it just got too. For me, it got too much. Just hearing like the government authorities that would always they would give updates daily on what was happening in the situation, and all you could tell was like they're just trying to play catch up, right? Because it was a new thing, new strain all the time, or new changes, new discoveries that they're finding out, and so there's new instructions on how to protect yourself because nobody had any immunization against it or any vaccine yet and all of that, especially at the very beginning. So yeah, it was like very numbing to get all that information every single day. I mean, you're hearing the same thing over and over, and it's like it just progressively gets worse and worse. right? And it's like, oh, okay, now because it didn't just start off with lockdowns, right? For most people, places around the world, they didn't go into lockdown much at all. But from us here in Melbourne, like again, one of the places that was hit with the longest lockdown, very like state government really kept us separated, to keep the spread to a minimum. That's what they were trying to avoid, really. Yeah, it was just like each week, like each day, each week, each month, there was always something new and scary, and that you have to keep in mind. And things that changed throughout that time. And then eventually, people had to not only limit the amount of time that they spent at work or limit the number of people going into the office, but then you would have to work from home. Like it was a gradual thing, but also at the same time felt rushed, if you know what I mean. Like the whole 2 years, like I don't know where it went. It just felt like it went from a blink of an eye. So yeah, I mean, like every time you'd hear that, it was just a bit numbing and scary. But the good thing is, Henry, I don't know if you realized this, but we also had INC radio at that time. And I remember, right, that we also have our own, we've got show at the moment. It's called Health Matters, but it also took off during the pandemic because we have our own doctors that are there also sharing information and a little bit more about, a bit more on the positive side and just had to keep yourself safe. And they really did promote to listen to what each country's government authorities were instructing the people to do, right? I mean, no, we want to keep it in line with that, which is what's very important. But you can tell, right? You can tell that everyone was scared, everyone was anxious. And because we were many times isolated from other people, like you couldn't leave, especially for us, we felt it the most. Yeah, it was very isolating because you couldn't be with other family members just because it was against the law that was given at the time. So with that, there were so many people sharing their thoughts. And again, there was also the rise of social media influencers that came about because all you had to do was talk about that topic, right? And people will be watching your videos, right? If you're posting something about it, creating a video, creating some article about it, like it became a hit because that's what everyone was talking about. And all the social media algorithms would push your content out because that's what you talked about there. So again, in continuing on with this discussion, Henry, and to everyone else that's tuned in, why do you think we should not solely rely on the information or the opinions posted online as reliable answers to serious problems? Because everyone and their dog who was posting something during that time, and you posted about an opinion about the pandemic and what you think it is or what you don't think it is or what you've heard, like it just became that was highly viewed at the time. But some people considered all of those opinions as fact. Like it became like, so there's a very dangerous time as well for misinformation. So what's your thoughts on that, Henry? Like, why do you think we shouldn't rely solely on opinions and information that's posted, especially on social media, right? To be answers to serious problems.
Before I answer that, just because you mentioned you and your dogs putting things on social media,
Yeah.
there were even live streams of people showing their dog just kind of sitting there in their cage or their doghouse or their like a beachfront where animals are playing, and you want to see a cat do something, you know, extraordinary. There was all this types of content on there that was just so entertaining that sometimes I would even watch it. It was just so that's how numb I got to all the news. But as I was watching the news, the one thing I would watch the news for is government regulations to know what
Mm.
we could and what we could not do. And so that was type of information that was at the time the law was so dynamic they had to adjust on the fly. So there would be a new declaration. So that's the type of stuff that you would have to watch the news for. That not only do you have to trust, you have to follow because that's the law. But why should we not solely rely on some of the things we see on social media? Because everyone has an opinion nowadays. And all of these opinions are not verified by professionals. We don't know who to believe. And even if they are professionals, they're contradicting other professionals. So which professional do you listen to? Right? So it becomes battleground for what is truth. You know, who is telling the right answer? Who is making up a conspiracy? Who is making something for content? Because as a content creator, you try to do and say things that attract viewers. And so if you make a much more controversial, entertaining, well edited segment of the pandemic that just has so many different types of graphics and work into it that it makes it look like such a dark time that we're living in, you have a lot of viewers. But do you have truth in all of that content that's being presented? And so, like I said, there's just too many experts with opinions and opposing views that you might believe the wrong side, and they all might be wrong altogether. And so, there's not much answers to, especially during the pandemic. This was uncharted territory. Were there any real answers? Were there any concrete answers at the time that could provide any type of comfort? They were still figuring it out as we were going along. Maybe now they know a lot more, but at the time, uh, a lot of things were just put out so quickly that we couldn't tell what was truth anymore. So we need to be careful on what's on social media. And if you fast forward to today, that still reigns true. A lot more content creators have emerged out of nowhere to talk about different types of topics. While during the pandemic, you had a lot of health experts come out, and those who had their own side stories of why the pandemic happened. Today you have so much more influencers out there that are they still providing any truth to their answers, or are they just filming great content, right? Jay, like opinions can be mistaken for facts. Would you agree with that?
Definitely, right? I mean, like that's why you gotta be a little bit careful on what you're listening to and how you're interpreting it, right? Because I know many times, I know a few people that well, as soon as they hear a video, like they think that the person's an expert, and they take that as fact. So you got to be careful with that because opinions are just opinions, right? People's experiences and whatnot, and you can't say that okay, that's exactly what is it's all about. Like even with anything in life or in history, right? Many times things change, in terms of what is considered good, what's considered healthy, what's considered the best way to do an exercise. Like there's all these different things that change over time. So you can't accept that just because one social media, there's so many health media, social media influencers. And many times, a lot of the way that they promote how to diet correctly or how to lose weight correctly or how to exercise correctly, but they don't really have any qualifications. It's all kind of just self-taught. So you got to be careful with those things. Well, but one thing that I do want to point out, and also our our executive producer also mentioned this, right? Was because of that, many of us started tuning out all these news about the pandemic because it was like pretty much the same thing over and over again. Everyone's playing catch up. But that's how we bonded a lot more, especially here on INC Radio, right? We had more Ohana, more viewers that's tuning in during that time, especially since you're just at home, you're stuck in lockdown, right? I know the Philippines was also hit hard with lockdowns from memory, and social distancing and everything else, like stay at home orders and whatnot. So there was like we had a lot of Ohana. So we've got quite a lot of long time listeners, long time viewers that still tune in. Even during that time, I remember. I mean, that's for me when I first connected to INC Radio and to Faith and Melody and all of that, because we shared the same feelings. Like we shared the same. We were going through the same thing and the same emotions of being felt like we've been ripped away from all of our families, couldn't see them. So you got to be. It was nice that we had a community to do that. And again, social media became a place where we could just tune out all the noise of what was going on around us because it was like the whole what is it like 2 years, 2.5 years almost that the whole pandemic pretty much was the talk of the town, of the talk of the world, really. But that's where social media and consuming a lot of online content really blew up, right, Henry? It really took off. So, just changing the script a little bit, still in that regard, what do you think are the dangers of spending large amounts of time on social media, especially if you're going through maybe a stressful situation or a difficult time and you end up just spending too much time on social media. What do you think are the dangers of that combination?
So, before I answer that question about the dangers of social media, let me just read some of the comments that came in to answer some of the previous questions. Rod Kahayak says he still went to the office during the lockdown. Felt kind of normal, but still kind of weird at the same time. But it hit his family hard. It hit his family pretty hard because of staying at home. And so for some people, it was kind of normal, nothing changed. But for a lot of those who had to stay home, it hit them pretty hard. And I was at home too, so it hit me pretty hard. Jared Rumble, during the lockdown, I felt sad and worried from the contents of social media with how the virus spread, large numbers of people each and every day being affected by the virus. Zenaida says there
That's
is,
true.
yeah, there's substantial evidence on social media with both positive and negative impacts on social and psychological well-being. Uh, and then basically, a nice way to put it, social media use helps maintain long distance friendships. So if you look at the purpose of what even some of the creators of social media platforms would say is to for connections, right? And so Zenaida is basically highlighting that. And then to answer the other question about why we should not solely rely on online information, Brother Jared says, I think we shouldn't solely rely on social media information and opinions as answers to serious problems because their accuracies in information and data have less verdict in them. And so I'm going to pivot off of that answer because why is it so dangerous to spend so much time on social media? Because if you get all the wrong information constantly, you start to believe it because more people are saying it, and you then get confused of what is truth. And then you fall into the line of thinking that, oh, this is why they're doing it. You might fall into a train of thought of conspiracies, which really doesn't make sense, and it takes you to a dark tunnel of illogical thought that you start to you lose a sense of truth. And so then that's what's dangerous with online information, online opinions, and too much time listening to this constantly. When you're stressed, you start to believe almost the almost anything, especially with the algorithms in place with social media and how it works. And this is a little bit of my IT background. Is some of the way that social media works is if you spend so much time on a particular type of content, that platform will feed you more of that same content. And you'll realize there are so many creators who talk about the same thing, you might start to believe that content to be true. And it just adds to the stress, right? It adds to uh, an answer that is not the right answer for you. Uh, you're basically scrolling through social media, looking for solutions, looking for a reason, looking for why is all of this is happening. You're trying to find comfort, and then when you find this type of content that is probably a little bit entertaining, that is might have a little bit of education in it, but then it takes you to a dark road. And so spending too much time on social media can just really misinform you in a wrong negative direction that could even endanger your faith. It could it could make you take a different path that you never thought you'd walk. And so it's supposed to provide you content, it's supposed to make you knowledgeable maybe, but if you're filled with the wrong type of knowledge, then you won't find it educational, but it will be more detrimental to your well-being. Would you agree with that, Jay?
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider it knowledge. I could just consider it a waste of brain space, right? Because anyone can throw anything out there, and you don't know if it's truth, if it's a lie, if it's just something to mislead you. It was very, very challenging navigating that space because it's a brand new, it was a brand new thing, right? Nobody like talking about it, and oh, I remember as well, Henry. I don't know if you have any family or anyone that you knew that were frontline workers, you know they were also hit hard with the panic that was caused by this, and also I guess a little bit on the misinformation because everyone was heightened in terms of that the emotions were high, the information was kind of like all over the place, and the way that they were treated during that time, right? Because people were getting sick. And the nurses, the doctors, the people that were working in hospitals, the frontline workers, they were hit the most. And especially if you had family members, it was also scary for them to leave the house, right? To go to work because they had to be there, and they're in the middle of this thing that was uncharted territory, and you don't know, and you're also concerned of them coming back, and they were concerned of bringing or potentially being a carrier and bringing it back to the rest of the family. There was also all of that anxiety going on. So very scary time, and all the other noise on social media didn't really help, right? So you got to be careful in terms of spending too much time, because when you are going through something stressful, all of those little things that you watch on social media, they add fuel to the fire. So you got to be careful with that, because you end up, no, it's also something that some people like to, they like the drama. They like all of those things. So they end up watching more and more. And like you said, the algorithm feeds that to you, right? It feeds it more and more to see all of that. So there's this term that came about, and I only heard it again during the past 5 years, which is doom scrolling, right? You end up doom scrolling. And I think, again, because we were during that time just stuck to our screens, our phones, your computers, and you're maybe most of us that didn't have to go into the office, that had to work from home or study from home or do everything from home because of the government, you know, instruction, ended up being on social media and just watching things on our phone first thing you wake up to until you go to sleep and to put you to sleep, right? So this term called doom scrolling came about. So why do you think we should be careful on the amount of time that we spend? We should be careful on not spending so much time doom scrolling on social media, because that's what happens, right? Doom scrolling, for those who don't know that phrase, is when you end up on your phone, on your screen, on social media. There's so many platforms out there, and you're just scrolling, looking at the next feed, looking at the next story, looking at the next video, and then the next one, and then the next one. And before you realize it, 2 hours have gone by, half the day has gone by, and you've just been stuck in one place, going from the one video to the next, right? That's doom scrolling. That's that phrase there, when you spend too much time on social media. Henry, I don't know, have you ever experienced doom scrolling? Because I have.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the word doom scrolling. It's not called light scrolling or bright scrolling. It's doom scrolling.
Doom
It
scrolling.
already has a negative connotation to it, that it's not good for you, really. It can be entertaining when you're watching something of great content, but when you lose track of time, when you lose track of thought, when you're not even absorbing the content, but you're just mindlessly, your thumb flicks, or you're using your, however you scroll. There's multiple ways to scroll, but you just constantly go until 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. You just don't stop. And yeah, we should be careful not to doom scroll, because you lose track of time, you lose track of yourself, you lose track of your mind, you lose track of your bodily functions at times. You don't realize you're hungry. You don't realize you haven't gone up to the the restroom. You don't realize, oh, I forgot to feed my children. Things like that, right? it's it's so easy to get lost in that motion of, it's similar to just watching TV in the 90s, where you would just watch constantly over and over. Now it's evolved. Fast forward 30 years later, it's just up close to your face, and you're on your bed or on your couch, or if you put it to auto scroll for you, you don't even have to use your thumb anymore. It just goes, and you're just staring at it, so blank. So whatever information is on there, it just takes you away from reality. And so the dangers of spending too much time on social media, more so on doom scrolling, is really, you just lose track of time, and you maybe even over influenced by those who you are listening to. So all in all, social media, there needs to be some level of control. There needs to be some level of, um, maybe set a timer for yourself. I'll just doom scroll, or I'll just scroll. I don't want to call it doom scroll. I'll just scroll for maybe 30 minutes before I go to sleep at 10:30 or 10 o'clock. I was also gonna read some of these answers to some of the questions we had. Zenaida says internet social media can provide valuable context, general information, starting points, but it has limitations. Yet sometimes there is great information on there to give you a background of what's going on. But sometimes you just have to stop there and don't proceed anymore because that's where unverified opinions and facts will start to be read that you can't verify. Alicia Bartolome says during the pandemic, I was so overwhelmed with online school and trying to graduate high school. Social media news never really eased my mind, only a tool to help me laugh during a hard time. And yes, there are a lot of cat videos. There are a lot of videos that just make us smile. So, but even that, if you do too much of that, it can still you can lose track of time. But you still need a laugh every once in a while. Um, Dangers from Zenaida. Dangers include lack of sleep, eye strain, jealousy, lack of family bonding too. And so when you're not present with your family, um, yeah, sometimes I get mixed feelings when you see a image of a family in a in the living room, in the parlor, but they're all doom scrolling on their own, right? Is that really family? What do you think, Jay? Let's talk about that. Is that really family
Everyone
bonding when
just
they're all doom scrolling together?
yeah, same thing if you're like around the dinner table or you're out in a restaurant and you see a group of friends together, but then everyone's got their phones out and everyone's not talking to each other. They're just looking at their phones. Like I don't know if that's connection or that's a good family time, right? But if you're just doom scrolling, it's really a time that you don't realize you lose track of time, right? That's why it's called one of the side effects of doom scrolling is you lose track of time and you lose track of the things that are important to do. You know, when you have a to-do list, but you end up doom scrolling and then the to-do list never gets done. Uh, the algorithm of that platforms gives you more and more of what you're looking for and what you're spending the most time on. It knows that. It's quite smart now, and especially now 5 years later since 2020, we all are hearing how AI has really developed so much, and they're using it in so many different things. And I think even more so in how or what you're getting fed, right, on your social media feeds. So it becomes more and more on what you're looking for. So it's almost like that platform is feeding the drug, right? It becomes an addiction when you are doom scrolling and you end up, the first thing that you think of is to open up your social media, and the last thing before you go to sleep is you're looking at social media. You're in bed by 9, but you don't go to sleep until 2 a.m. because you've been scrolling for the past 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, it's a dangerous game once you start going down that rabbit hole. I agree with that. Sometimes it's a form of procrastination and a form of escape sometimes, right? And you end up just spending so much time looking at cat videos and other funny things and other things to entertain you because you don't want to hear the news about the challenges that's going on around you. So definitely a challenge there. I think it was, where is it? Actually, I'll pass it over back to you. We've got so much more to talk about with this topic, but I'll pass it back to you, Henry, if you got any more final comments in our chat before we take a quick break, and we'll flip the script a little bit and we'll talk about the fun things that happened during the lockdowns and, you know, what we get from social media. But before we get into that part of the discussion, Henry, final comments, and then you can enter the next song.
Yeah, so Brother Jared says we should be careful not to doom scroll, sometimes because we may come across content what is not helpful in the growth of our faith. And totally agree. And Rod Kayog is a good transition. His comment, so grateful to the church administration for blessing us with so many platforms of INC media content that helps strengthen and guide us and keep us on the right path every day. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about after this music break. So the song that we'll be listening to now is the original music, I Give My Heart to You. So please stay with us as we continue our discussion on Faith and Melody.
This is INC Radio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
If you're looking for topic discussions that open your hearts and minds to greater things, tune in this week to Faith and Melody. Tuesday, Hindsight 2020. Wednesday, Grateful Hearts. Thursday, My Weakness Becomes My Strength. Friday, Peer Appreciation. Tune in to INC Radio YouTube channel Tuesday to Friday, 12 a.m. Manila or 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be part of the best conversations with the right company. You are Ohana on Faith and Melody.
So, in the midst of the pandemic, various content creators and influencers flooded social media platforms with constant news updates, unverified expert opinions about the gloomy future. They really painted a dark world for us. And whether it was their intention or not, it did make the world around us seem like a scary place. But while we were at home, we were still able to find activities that really just brought out something new that we never knew before. We discovered new hobbies, and we would even find content that would ultimately inspire, give us hope, and even remind us of our Christian values. So, first question on this segment is: while on lockdown during the pandemic, how did you find joy, hope, and inspiration? Because in the dark times of the pandemic, if we reflect on it, we search for hope, we search for answers, and we got stuck in doom scrolling sometimes, looking for something that we could ultimately not find. So it did waste a lot of time, but when we were able to somehow snap out of it, we found joy, we found hope, we found inspiration, we found positive things to help us to keep going. So, Jay, how did you find joy, hope, and inspiration in the midst of the pandemic?
Um, I don't know about you, Henry, but during that time, I spent most of the day in my pajamas. Right? You wake up in the morning because you didn't have to, like, for most of us, especially here in Melbourne, that had, especially during the lockdown period, right? And you just had to stay at home. You couldn't go anywhere else. You'd wake up and you'd just be in your PJs, and all the way until the rest of the day. And if you had a meeting or something like that, you'd only change the top half, right? You don't really change the top half because that's all that gets seen on video. But yeah, I mean, like already that was kind of funny. But for me, I think being able to, well, we ended up watching a lot of videos, a lot of movies during that time. Like what else? What else could you do, right? But that's really when I started tuning into INC Radio as well, because again, being stuck at home all day, 24 hours, doing everything, work, play, and everything else, you ended up just like being on the internet most of the time. So we, like what Rod shared here in the chat, is that during the pandemic, that's when we made more friends, more online friends, right? I mean, I wouldn't have met online Rod, Zenaida, everyone that I know here on INC Radio, right? They are from all over the world, but we were all connected because of the pandemic in a way, because we end up finding each other here on INC Radio, here on Faith and Melody, and all the different programs. So that really became a great part of inspiration. Like just to throw back a little bit, I don't know if our tech, Kuya Pong, remembers this as well, but there was this broadcast as well during the pandemic time, which was called Wow with Bob. And shout out to Kuya Rod because Wow with Bob is an acronym, and he's one of our acronym masters here on Faith and Melody. Wow with Bob being words of wisdom with Bob, which is with brethren on board, right? And they had different themes each day. And I remember we really enjoyed their Monday one, which was like their games, or they just played games the whole show. And Kuya Rod and I were actually players or panelists for that show one time. So shout out to Kuya Rod for that. But yeah, good memories and being able to meet new people all over the world, different countries I thought I'd never meet, right? In Japan, in America, in the Philippines, in in the States, and New Zealand, even though they're like neighbors, right? In Africa as well, we met a few people everywhere. So I think that was really nice to be able to be connected to new people, especially we were all going through the same challenges of the pandemic. We were all going through the same difficulties of not being able to be with our family, not being able to see our friends. We were all just stuck in front of our screens, right? So instead of listening to all of these depressing, sad news of, oh, this is how many people have gotten sick, and this is like what's going on now. Oh, you have to do this now, right? We connected through INC Radio, through faith, through, great INC Iglesia Ni Cristo music, and the other themes that we have here. So that was really one of the greatest sources of inspiration, especially for me, right? That's kind of like why I really, one of the reasons I was able to learn how to open up to my wife more in terms of my thoughts and my feelings. I was the type of person that was very, what's that word, Henry? When you kind of just like, you're not very good at expressing your emotions and what you're thinking and feeling. I don't know if there's I'm sure there's a term for it. You're going
I
to say
think
something.
introvert, maybe is it introvert?
Well, I mean, like introvert is kind of just like an energy point of view, but it's something along those lines where you're not very good at expressing to the right people, right? And even though she like my wife and all that, like what really helped me to open up more was I have to give this a shout out, like Faith and Melody, like the questions that we had, the Ohana that were asking the questions and they were running the rundowns at the time, like they really gave you thought provoking, not that we don't, I'm just saying, but, that's kind of like what helped me learn more about myself because I've never asked these questions about myself and I never thought to answer it. You get asked the questions like, yeah, most of the time my answer would be, it's okay, it's all good, I'm fine, right? Very short responses, but to be more thought provoking, to really dig deeper and really articulate what it is you're thinking and feeling, right? That helped me grow more as a person. And that was during the lockdown phase, right? I remember Jem mentioned to me that I just seemed more happier since that time. Like I've grown to be more of a sharing person, a person that shares, what they're thinking and feeling. I was more yeah, to myself. But now a little bit more better, much more better during that time. So I think that came out great from that. And one of the things, just one last one that I'll throw in there just for a little bit more fun, is that because we missed traveling, because again, one of the things that got stopped during that time, if you remember, you couldn't travel. They cut flights. You couldn't go and on to see family elsewhere or even go overseas. So we ended up watching a lot of live streams of cities that we wish that we were at that time. Like in Japan was like we know. I've mentioned that Japan is one of our favorite places that we like to visit. So we just be watching on our TV, like, oh, we're in Japan right now, because like they would show it. But then you could see as well that there's like hardly anyone on the streets in Japan. Like it's very very few people. So you can see like how it affected cities and places worldwide because people were still live streaming it. Like they had camera set up and you can do that, which is nice that you could see those places, but sad at the same time that you could only see it through your TV screen. But how about you, Henry? Like what did you do to find joy and inspiration during that time?
So, Zenaida mentioned some of this that during the pandemic, we were still able to worship, through the church administration, and we were able to still conduct activities where we could still be spiritually inspired and to adjust to the condition of the world. And so,
Yes,
as
yes.
for myself, as a TSV officer, I was pretty busy. I'll put it that way. There's just a lot going on, and a lot of
What's a
people were.
TSB officer, Henry? In case we got people that don't know what that is or what
Well,
that means.
the TSV officer, especially during the pandemic, was a technical support for video streaming. The officer that really just allows content from the church administration to ensure that it reaches to all the members of the Church of Christ. So, as a TSV officer, it's something that a lot of us had to learn the technology that we would use to share this content, and it would even transfer over into what what Alicia's saying, that she found inspiration in her duties, especially in multimedia. So she was able to be a producer and help the church in making more positive, heartfelt content. And that's what Brother Rod was saying earlier. Rod Kahayag was saying during the pandemic, he did find a lot of joy and inspiration through the content that was produced from INC Media and the various other channels that the Church of Christ produces. And so, during the lockdown, we were able to combat all of these, want to say, darker influences that existed out there. We found joy and inspiration through shows like Faith and Melody. And I think my buddy Delmar Domino was in here earlier. He's one of the old originals for Faith and Melody back in the day. It just, even for me, in INC Radio Hawaii Pacific, while we couldn't go anywhere, executive producer Ate Des would always ask me also to be included in that. And that's how I got started with being in INC Radio. I just developing my ability to speak, and it just became so fun to talk about the good things and to just try to inspire people. And it became a perpetual type of communication of finding inspiration to inspire others and them telling you that they're inspired. And so you just keep wanting to share this good communication of content of inspiration. And also want to take this time to read one of the comments from my wife, Rachel Nasencio, about finding inspiration, family bonding at home. Because my wife is also a frontline worker, and she received strength from the live streaming worship services and always prayed for God's guidance. So, like we mentioned earlier, we were still able to worship God during the pandemic, and especially in those dark times, still being able to worship God. That was the greatest source of joy and inspiration, I think, for all of us members of the Church of Christ, that we could still continue to perform our duties, could still continue to be edified in though online, activities of the church with Christian family organizations, the Kadiwa, the Binhi. And so, when the pandemic lifted, right, the lockdown and everything started to open up, then we start to realize more that there were a lot of other sources of joy, hope, and inspiration that maybe we never realized, but we are probably using it now. So our next question that we're going to ask is, how do you think we can find joy, hope, and inspiration today in a post-lockdown environment? The lockdown's over. This was years ago. So how are we finding joy and inspiration today? Now that we have returned to this new normal of finding new interests in technology or utilizing technology to enhance the hobbies and interests that we had prior, or just incorporating it into how we are living day to day to connect to people who are far away. Maybe you're a content creator and maybe you've gotten into to creating content for your family. Maybe you're using video conferencing platforms more and more to connect with your family, to find more joy, hope, and inspiration as you communicate with your loved ones far away from you. So the question we ask now is, how do you think we can find joy, hope, and inspiration today in a post-lockdown, post-pandemic world, Jay?
For me, I mean, it started with Faith and Melody for me, right? In terms of, I guess, my growth, my development, my change, and INC Radio in general. And I'm still here, right? Like it's been about 4 years since I joined Faith and Melody now, and met the Ohana, met the live chat family as well that tune in with us. We see them regularly here on the show, the ones that always supports Faith and Melody and INC Radio in general. So I think being able to choose where you're getting your inspiration from is a great blessing, right? We can choose who we're listening to, what we're listening to, what we're letting in. Because I've learned that whatever it is, whether you're reading, you're listening to a podcast, you're watching a video, right? Especially when it's regarding other things, it affects your beliefs, your values, your character as a person. It can impact it in a small way, but do it long enough and consistently enough, it will change who you are as a person. You got to be careful with that. So you can choose who you're letting in, what you're letting in, what you're listening to, who you're listening to, all of those things. Great place to make sure that at least you're listening to something that is aligned with what we believe in as Christians, what our faith upholds, right? Is INC Radio. You got INC Media. You've got all the different church platforms, worship, Iglesia Ni Cristo platforms that we have available that is there on social media. I remember that they still do this as well. That there's always a wallpaper of the week, right, with a Bible verse on it, something that gives you inspiration that you can just download and you can use that as your phone wallpaper that you can use. So, things like that, you can make the choice on what you're letting in and what you're surrounding yourself with. Because many times you think that, oh, it's people that influences me. No, it's also like what you consume, right? What you consume on your phone and on your computer, they also influence you. So you can choose on what you're listening to and what you're letting to influence you. Reduce it or increase it. It's all up to you. So make the good choice, right? Listen to more Faith and Melody. quick plug there. And other things, just in terms of finding joy and inspiration and hope, right? Be for me. I've found that it's very important not to take the little things for granted. Just being mindfully present when you're there with your family, not on your phone, right? When you're at the dinner table, when you're out for a walk, right? That you're not just distracted by messages and your phone ringing, like being present. It's a skill. It's a skill nowadays because there's so much distractions that can influence, that can hinder your attentiveness to the people around you. So being attentive, being present, if you have a partner or a spouse, right? If you've got children, right? The importance of really being there, right? Don't take those little things for granted because it's very, very important. Go for a walk if you can. Go to the park. Drive down to the beach if that's nearby, or go somewhere where you can enjoy it as a family or as a couple, whatever it might be, or with your close friends, right? Show appreciation and gratitude to the people that's in your life. I think that's what's helped me to get extra inspiration and to be more happier, because it's not about, life isn't about work, right? You shouldn't be living to work. You should work so that you can live your life, right? Live your life with the people that you love, and live your life so that you can fulfill your duties, our Almighty God, and enjoy the blessings that He gives you, including the family or the loved ones that our Almighty God has given us. So that's for me. That's where I find my joy and inspiration.
Yeah. So I don't know what toy that was growing up, but maybe it's called a wind up toy or something like that. Where you like when you hold something still and you just wind it up, you wind it
Yeah,
up and then
yeah.
you let it go, right? So the more you wind it up, it just goes. So to me, I look at the lockdown as some kind of winding up time, and then when we were set free, we just boom, we just release. Like Jordan Augustine says, during the pandemic, he surprisingly worked out more. The gyms were closed. He did more activities. So, and I know Jordan personally, so I can say that he still works out even now. So it was a good momentum for him to start that during the pandemic, and then fast forward today, he's exercising, he's working out. For me, I might have been the opposite. I think a lot of us were the opposite. The pandemic, it caused us to stay home, and so I was a couch potato for a bit, but then I did have to work out again. So right before the pandemic started, I did work out even more. Um, but then yeah, so you start to when you get wound up and you get released, especially during the time when I was consuming a lot of content of the different platforms that we have for the Iglesia Ni Cristo PC, CFO news and updates, all of the Christian music videos that were produced, and for me now, particularly INC Radio, now Faith and Melody. Um, you know, that basically is just became more exponentially relied upon from me. I would even rely on it even more because we're back in the real world and we're back into the challenges. The challenges were still there waiting for us after we were released. And so even more now, I think you still need that positivity to exist in what you consume. And you start to replace all that negative content with positive content. And even more so, I want to be part of that positive content. That's probably why I'm here, to try to be the change that you hope to see in the world and try to find ways to keep everyone, not just entertained, but also inspired, and find the good in things that we go through on our day to day. Because at present we can find joy, hope, and inspiration, but are we looking for that? Are we looking for the inspiration in the content that we seek? Are we looking for the words of God in the different content that is produced by the different channels that exist, such as INC Radio? So we can find it. Are you looking for it? And more so, we should always be praying for it, for the inspiration that we seek. And I don't think you'll find inspiration in doom scrolling. It's in the name right there, doom scrolling. So we should always be mindful of what we are consuming, the content that we are consuming. It can lead you to a dark place, but if you're searching for joy, hope, and inspiration, I think you can find it. Especially if you tune in on Faith and Melody every Monday through Thursday, or Tuesday through Friday in the Philippines. We're always here. We are always wanting to give you a bright start to your week, especially on these Mondays. And it's this is where we are family. We're a family. We are always wanting to be the lights of the world and provide you the content that gets you going, especially in your spirituality. And so that being said, let me just kind of read through some of the last comments that we have here. Um, Jared says, finding joy, hope, and inspiration today may be from the brethren all over the country and INC Media Contents and Pasugo at home. And more greetings from Paul Jacob Arese. Happy viewing to all brethren. John, happy listening, everyone. Heidelberg Cluster. And hello from the road here in Fort Worth, Texas. Safe driving. Please, two hands on the wheel, eyes on the road. You can definitely still listen to us here on Faith and Melody. Let's see, Jay, what do we have next?
We have one of our Ohana that's just plugged in, tuned in, plugged in, that's just connected and joined us. So let's say hello. She's just here right now, all the way from the United Kingdom. Hi, Belle. How are you? How's things?
Hi Jay, hi Henry. I'm good, thank you. Hope you're all doing well as well. And also there, our Ohana and Team Live Chat. Thank you so much for supporting us today. But yes, since we were talking about finding ways to uh, get inspiration and joy and hope in this day of age, in this digital age, actually. Um, are there any other way that we can still go on social media but actually find um, really great information, enlightenment, or inspiration? Well, as a media officer, um, I know that there are a lot of platforms that the church has pages on, and there are a lot of church content that have been created so far, and I feel like if you look thoroughly, you'll be able to find the inspiration that you need. There's Light Life, there's INC Radio. I mean, we are here right now, aren't we? And there's also CEBSI Films and a lot of other podcasts and I don't know, a lot of more content than you actually think. And there's also blogs if you like reading as well. So there's a massive amount of content and that the church has prepared not only for us but for those who were trying to inspire and invite inside the church. But yes, what do you think, Jay and Henry?
I'm going to start and say that there's definitely a lot of ways that social media can be used, for good information, like or enlightenment, or just to find something to relieve your stress or your challenges. Like what's the word when you kind of just distract yourself, right? So just as long as you don't end up doom scrolling and you don't end up, you got to take control. You got to be disciplined. Self-discipline is very, very important when you're using any tool or you're doing anything. Self-discipline really plays a big role. But when it comes to using tools, right, I see these things. That's how I see them. The internet, or the search engines, and even social media as tools to either get information, perhaps, or to get an idea of something. Because I've learned or even to find like a sense of place where I could like laugh at something funny. I've learned that for me when it comes to information or learning, that I learn faster through video. I learn faster through watching somebody else do it and basically seeing it and copying it. So that's why video works for me. For others out there, it might be different. For others, it might be receiving instruction, like verbal instructions might be the way that they learn better, or trial and error, right? So I think using social media and asking it the right questions, querying the right questions in social media has helped me learn and see and find information faster, right? I don't say accurate, because again, with social media, you don't know what people are posting. You don't know if it's correct and or if it's actually factual. So I always take everything with a grain of salt, right? I don't believe everything that I see, but I like to see what people are saying. Does that make sense? That's for me, right? I like to kind of gather, right? I mean, like there's certain topics, for example, video editing, where most of the time it will work or it won't. If somebody's showing you how to edit with this style, or how to try that new effect, right? Or how to make it look like a scrumpled piece of paper and then it opens up and then it's the video. Those are pretty cool effects. That's not gonna hinder anything. But if it's certain topics that might affect your character, your beliefs, your values, you got to be careful with that. So everything now, I usually go through social media. In particular, I don't really. I've mentioned this before. I don't have social media. The only closest thing that I have would be this platform on YouTube. It's pretty much my only. I don't even think that's social media, but it's something, right? But basically I use this platform as my search platform. It's like, how do you do this, right? Or like whatever else. And usually there'll be a bunch of videos. I've used it for like how to figure out how to clean the kitchen, or well, not the kitchen, but like the sink, trying to clean the pipes and everything else. There's some pretty informative things in there. So you do have to be careful what you're taking on board. So I take everything with a grain of salt and see what I think works for me. I think that's very, very important, because everyone learns differently. Everyone has their own opinions and perspective on things, and everyone's gone through different things. So you got to take all of that into account. So it's different for each person. Henry, your way. What's your thoughts on this?
So I learned how to change my car battery through uh, social media. I learned how to change my headlight, my tail light through social media. People demonstrating how to do it with the exact same car that I have. So like perfect, right? You can use social media
Mm,
to teach you something. You can use social
yes.
media to teach you how to be a beginner mechanic. I would be careful with touching the electricity part. Don't do that. Get a certified person to do that for you. You might get hurt. But when there are some simple fixes that you can do, uh, so I did the tire, I did headlight. I learned how to take off the foggy thing that develops on your headlight just by using social media. I learned how to program
Oh
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Python. Yeah, so right, the foggy thing that happens when your car with that buildup of moisture. Yeah, I learned that through social media how to fix that. Um, I learned how to make a gate when I had nothing else to do but to fix the gate in my backyard through social media. There are things that you can learn that don't require a college degree, of how-to videos of do it yourself, that you can use social media for. But you can find enlightenment. Like we mentioned this earlier. I'll just say it one more time: is that you can find enlightenment and inspirational content through the different channels that we have produced. Someone mentioned earlier Light Life. I saw coming in there, Light Life. Shout out to all those who produce Light Life content. I love seeing that every day on my feeds. And we're all collectively sharing that on our feeds. It's just inspiration for us to see not only the scenic pictures, which social media has taught me how to do some scenic picture photography as well, but the verses that kind of get us through the times that we are going through. So it's all of this that we can use to find not just valuable information to teach us something, but also spiritual enlightenment and inspiration to help us get through dark times. The pandemic was full of dark times, so it allowed us to those content creators for the church to develop the ability to produce the things that we're able to see now, and to produce skills that we never thought we had before. And now it's become our not just our hobby, our passion, something we enjoy to do, but we inspire others with it, right, Belle?
Yes, and I love that you mentioned that you can get a quick fix um, tip on social media, because there are times where, especially during the pandemic, I feel like everyone was able to share their general knowledge about, I don't know, cars, like you mentioned, or even baking. I don't know if this was mentioned earlier, but yes, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like during social media during the pandemic or lockdown, a lot of people started baking, and they realized how certain recipes are actually really easy to follow, right? And there's also like microwave like recipes from what I remember. I don't know, but yes, there were like a lot of trendy recipes that a lot of people were trying, and it was fun to see and witness that as well. um, but yes, I'm I like that part that you guys mentioned, that it's up to you what you want to look for, but as long as you don't rely only on one source, which is social media. Because sometimes, we find ourselves like following something that might like harm your car or harm yourself, like while you're doing your car. So just, as long as the source that you are following is a reliable one, right? But I feel like yes, there are a lot of tips and contents on social media, and that's why it's really important that we should be able to filter them out. And too much of anything is can go wrong, right? So no matter how many great tips and contents there are, sometimes we should have we should be able to have our own, how do you call it, um, our own thoughts regarding certain things, and we should always remember like our values and principles, like on top of that, because sometimes we get carried away by following like too many trends, or too many videos or content that is out there, that we tend to forget sometimes. But yes, I'm glad that a lot of us were able to share the different ways to still find enjoyment on social media, without without doom scrolling. But yes, I can see here that in Team Live Chat, there's a lot of people who share their tips and tricks. Um, Rubik Joshua said here that the church was so prepared for the pandemic that the administration had prepped us for the video streaming worship services, and we were all ready to continue to serve our Lord God, and that's true. As Iglesia Cristo members or Church of Christ members, we were able to, still worship our Almighty God, especially during the lockdown. So that was really a great blessing. And here, Paul Jacob Arisa said, sharing church content on social media, for example, Light Life. And here, Jared Rombo said, ways in which social media content can be used as a great resource of information when we know our viewers and what may benefit them in these updates. And Rubik Joshua also said here, also during the pandemic, many people were able to communicate and refresh their old friendships and communities who were lost in touch. And many families and friends were able to express love and care again. And that's really true, because that made us realize that we can make time for our loved ones and friends who are also overseas. For example, I feel like here on this panel, none of us have met in person at all. Me, Jay,
No,
and
we have not. Not in
Matt.
person.
Yet we still feel close to one another. Like we're still friends and we still talk to one another. And it feels like like we don't have to meet in person to, have a close knit friendship or a close knit community. So that really goes to show that, yes, there are different good ways where we can use social media to, make the most out of it. And Jonna Rubik said here, social media could be helpful and can be a way to connect with those who are far from you, like your family and friends. And he also said here that safe social media usage is always important. And since we tackled the many ways for us to find enjoyment on social media while also being cautious, why do you think that what do you think people should do during difficult times to find relief?
comfort and inspiration. And, in order to avoid doom scrolling as well.
I'm
I
gonna
hope.
I'm gonna say doom scrolling is probably not the answer. It's a band-aid, maybe it's a distraction, but definitely not the answer for, especially when you're going through stressful times and relief. But sometimes you do need a break, and social media gives you that break and gives you that distraction that some people need. One thing that comes to mind, especially during the pandemic when everyone was stressed and was, facing challenging times, one of the activities that was launched, I believe it was during 2020, 2021, by, the church administration of the Church of Christ. It was in Tagalog, but also it was translated to English. But from memory, it was called Gulayan sa Bakuran. Belle, did you remember that? Basically, uh, they encouraged in terms of planting fruit or vegetables in your
Yeah.
backyard, like
Like,
growing, right? Is it right, Belle? It was called that, right?
yes.
Gulayan sa Bakuran. Somebody help me out here. Live
Yeah,
chat, let
yes.
me know.
It's
But yes, so
right.
basically that, right? And they always say that that is a nice stress reliever. Taking care of plants, growing especially vegetables and things like that that you can actually then use in your own for the family for cooking. Being able to create your own produce, grow your own produce, not create. Right, that was something that was really also presented there. Backyard gardening. There you go. Our executive producer translated that for us. Basically, gardening itself was a really nice hobby, or to some, it's actually more than a hobby, to really relieve stress. So there was that. So thank you, thank you to Sister Des for helping us out, helping me out there. But that's definitely one thing. If you have a hobby that can relieve your stress, like gardening, looking after plants, growing plants, or produce even, definitely is one of the ways that you can focus on to help you get rid of that situation and to think a little bit more clearer. I'm more of an analytical person. So if I'm going through something difficult, I like to write things down or draw things out, right? I write, I draw, I use spreadsheets. That's kind of like my way of figuring things out as well. I wish I had a green thumb, but I don't know. Insects and me just don't work with each other very well. But I also try to disconnect. Well, again, I don't really have social media, so that's not really something that I have to worry about too much. But we all have our close knit of friends, our trusted, the trusted people that's in our lives. But also, if it's more serious of a situation, especially when it comes to our spirituality, don't forget we've also got church officers and ministers that we can approach and talk to anytime. So really, we have people that we love and that loves us back that we can go to when we need comfort, when we need inspiration and guidance in whatever that we might be facing. So I guess just remember that no matter who you are that's listening to us right now, you're never alone. Whenever you think that you are, you're never alone. And most of all, if you do feel that, just remember that you can always go off by yourself and close your eyes and pray to our Almighty God, and He'll be there to comfort you and send the answers your way. Right? To me, that answer was INC Radio, Faith and Melody, the Ohana, the live chat viewers, right? Especially during the time of 2020, 2021, 2022, like all of that. It really helped that we're able to share our challenges and experiences together and how our faith has helped us overcome all of those things and become stronger over time. How about you, Henry?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I had a lot of fun with my daughters. I had a green screen. I put it on the background. Uh, there was some weather problems. Ate Des can attest to this. We got some scares of hurricanes coming, and so I would put upon the what do you call the weather map sometimes with the green screen so that it looks like we're weathermen on the news broadcasts. And then my daughter would be the one giving the weather, but she would be too shy to speak, so I would speak for her. The hurricane is coming, and I would say fun things, and it was fun. And so I say that to note that I find relief, comfort, and inspiration at home with my family. And during the pandemic, it was a time for you to be with your loved ones. You had nowhere else to go but to bond with your family. And that's how I found joy. I found joy in the family that was already around me, with my wife and my kids. We were always right there together. We went through it all together. Mommy had to go to work. I would try to hug her once she would come home from work, but no, she would push me away. She would go take a shower. She would clean herself up, and then we could be a family after that. But it was the inspiration was already there with me at home, and so we would pray together. We would eat together, exercise together, play weatherman together. It was, and most importantly, we would worship together because worshiping did not stop, and it doesn't stop. Post pandemic, we continue to worship, we continue to spend time with one another, we continue to have family prayers together, we eat together. Sometimes I tell my children, put your devices down, it's family time. And so uh, we found relief and comfort, inspiration amongst ourselves, and at the same time, as a family, continue to worship God as we do today. The pandemic, no matter how dark the times will be, even if another lockdown will happen again, we will still continue to keep on doing what we've always been doing, which is serving and worshiping our Almighty God, which is always our greatest joy and inspiration in seeking for His teachings. Right, Belle?
Yes, Henry, and I love that you mentioned that. And I feel like that was so fun having a green screen and like playing around with it. I feel like you could do anything. You could go anywhere actually as well, or even underwater or water, isn't it? But I also love that you mentioned that at the end of the day, we should always find our joy and happiness in our Almighty God because He's, the only one who can actually provide anything for us and for our families. And, you know, it's true. At the end of the day, one there's this verse that says something along the lines of one day inside uh, your house of worship is better than 100 days outside. So that's that's one of my inspiration verses that I always try to take note of because it's true. Sometimes we get so busy, not only with like work and school and everything else, but also in church. There's like many activities, uh, many events, and and many campaigns that are launched by the church administration, and being busy in the works for the Lord is always better. Than being busy with something else that could also sway us away from our Almighty God. And here, our team live chat, I can see that a lot of them have also shared something about, our faith. So here, Paul Jacob Arisa said, pray for God's help and guidance always. And John Aerobic said here, the verse of the day always speaks to me when I'm having a hard time or challenging day, then I know it's God comforting me. Rachel Innocencio said here, praying for God's guidance in everything we do. Keep a positive mindset. Continue to check in on our family and friends. And Jared Rambo said here, during difficult times, one can find relief, comfort, and inspiration from trusting, relying on our Almighty God, and even in the program, inspiring in the faithful. So thank you so much, everyone who was able to, share their bits and tricks about how to find enjoyment in social media, and always reminding ourselves the importance of our calling and our duty uh, duties inside the church. And I feel like at the end of the day, no matter how busy we are, no matter how tired we are, yeah, social media can be there, but who's always there? Our Almighty God. So hopefully, this has brought us even more inspiration, and it made us look back in time, 2020 in a more positive way. Although some parts were, very unsure, very uncertain. Um, I hope that everyone was able to, look back with a smile. But yes, God's teachings are always timeless. And even in modern times like these, like His words give us the truth, clarity, and direction whenever it comes to overcoming difficult situations. We were able to worship our Almighty God during the pandemic. And still at present, we should all the more level up in our dedication to our duties and our worship unto Him in the years to come. And not knowing what lies ahead of us in 2026, we should always absorb His teachings and wisdom, such as it is taught in worship services or our worship gatherings, so that we have been given clarity and inspiration in good and difficult times. And with that said, we will now have our verse of the week, turning to God during hard times.
You know, we really are going through hard times. Many are experiencing sickness, financial difficulties, and even emotional problems. Some even say they don't remember life being this hard. And so this may cause many to place their hope in powerful figures, including influencers. But who should we turn to during hard times? I'm Brother Erwin Sunga, and we'll answer this question in this verse of the week. Here in 1 Corinthians, the chapter is 10, the verse is 13. No test or temptation that comes your way is beyond the course of what others have had to face. All you need to remember is that God will never let you down. He'll never let you be pushed past your limit. He'll always be there to help you come through it. Here, the Bible is reminding God's people that even during the worst of our problems, God will never let us down. He'll never push us past our limit. Our Lord God knows exactly what we can and cannot handle. And so we should turn to Him when we need help. And God will always be there to help us through any challenge that comes our way. Dear friends, we encourage you to join us in our worship services here in the Church of Christ, so you can find out how you can also benefit from a genuine relationship with God. We hope this verse of the week gives you the inspiration you need to start your week. Stay safe, stay strong, stay faithful. God bless.
Thank you to Brother Erwin for that inspiring message to take with us for the week ahead. But yes, Jay, do you have any greetings and shout outs?
Thank you to everyone that joined us, that shared their thoughts, their insights, and also especially shout out to our longtime listeners and supporters that's always tuning in here to Faith and Melody. Shout out to each one of you. Shout out to my wife, Jem, and to our daughter, Elena, and of course to my co-hosts here, Henry and Belle, for always joining me here on the broadcast on Mondays. And to everyone there in live chat, we always love to see you there, and hopefully you can always tune in with us every Monday to Thursday here on Faith and Melody.
Thank you so much, Jay. What about you, Henry?
Shout out to my children who are on the other side of this wall, not this curtain, but this wall here, which you can't see. Shout out to my wife. Again, I mentioned she was a frontline worker. She was my joy inspiration during the pandemic, and she still is my joy and inspiration. My family, who is always there. Shout out to my Heidelberg family for tuning in today and supporting. And shout out to my co-hosts. Always enjoy every Monday being with you guys, talking about topics such as this. To uh, the more we speak, the more we're actually learning as we speak. So it's always a fun conversation to have. Always a fun Monday afternoon, and I hope everyone has a fun Monday being with us and to start off your week with Faith and Melody. Back to you, Belle.
Thank you so much as well, Henry. And yes, also shout out to my family, my mom, Ate Erica, Arian, Sam, and Dan. And of course, to our team here, Jay and Henry, and our Kuya Tech. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone who was able to join us today. And yes, once again, I'm Belle from the United Kingdom.
I am Henry from Germany.
And I'm Jay from Australia, and we have been your hosts for today. We hope today's episode has given you a positive start to your week ahead. And to close off our show, we'll be listening to a Japanese song, Machi Tsuzukeru, which is translated to "I'll be waiting." So join us again for the rest of the week here on the next episodes of Faith and Melody. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Be safe. See you next time.
Aloha.
Take care.
神がいれば恐れることはないさあと少しで